a symbolic show of frustration and fear over what's to come. With major storms approaching, residents of Haiti's camps are increasingly anxious about their helplessness in the face of another potential disaster. Some shelter materials distributed back in January are now nearly useless. The impact of hurricane-force winds on homes like this, unimaginable.
What do you think? Do you think tarpaulins like this can resist a hurricane? Even when we had proper houses, we couldn't handle stuff like that.
Haiti's mountainous terrain and vulnerability to flash flooding means the country has always found it hard to deal with hurricanes. The earthquake made things far worse, destroying institutions like the National Weather Bureau. Its staff are now forced to operate from a basement near the national airport, relying on the internet to track the path of hurricanes out at sea.
Even before the earthquake, we had difficulties with our work. Our main machine for predicting weather has been broken for 5 years. After the earthquake, things got even harder.
And even if the forecasts are accurate, the sheer number of those still living under tarpaulin means an organized evacuation is almost impossible. Residents of the sprawling camps have been told their best option is to stay put, unless they're lucky enough to find space in the few hurricane shelters that have been built.
This is the only hurricane-proof shelter for a camp of more than 40,000 people. The camp managers say they'll take 400 of the most vulnerable people, those who are blind or disabled. Everyone else will be left to fend for themselves.
We're not going anywhere because we have nowhere else to go. We'll just have to stay here and see what happens.
International aid workers say they're doing their best under difficult circumstances.
The problem is so big, there are so many people living in tents, and tents and hurricanes do not go together, as we know. So what we are trying to do is, tell them what they can do. What are the steps they can take to reduce the risk?
But while instructional sheets on risk reduction are handed out, there's anger over why more hasn't been done.
This whole thing's just a charade. We've never received any real help. Instead of information, what we really need is houses.
The UN's second-in-command in Haiti says it's been a case of having to juggle priorities.
It's just a lot of needs in a country whose infrastructure was really poor before the quake. So that's the issue. We just didn't have all the resources we needed for all the tasks at hand.
But with some officials openly acknowledging the potential for another catastrophe if a major storm hits, it's not hard to understand the frustration at what nearly 8 months of a multi-billion-dollar relief effort has achieved.